Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to the Down Low with Joel Lowe and Mike Turezzo. I'm Mike Turezzo. Joel, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, sir?
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm Joel Lowe. 15 years in this cybersecurity game. So just trying to educate and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And Mike?
Yeah. So same here for me, 15 plus years in IT and InfoSec. Joel and I like doing these things just because we talk about things that help friends and family out, and there's no ego to serve here. This is really just kind of answering questions that we get and things that we address. So, Joel, topic for this week is social media, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Great movie.
Yes.
Um,
It is.
what do you want? I guess let's start off with social media and the different platforms that we're aware of, right? You know what? Obviously, I do LinkedIn a lot, just because it's to me it's a little bit safer. You know, I have some younger nieces and nephews and cousins and things like that, so I don't like putting a lot of things out there. I don't use Facebook a lot.
Right.
How about you?
So I use LinkedIn for work, right?
Mhm.
So networking, things of that nature. I'm on Facebook. So I use that more for reaching out with friends and family and keeping in touch with them. And I try to keep the two separated.
Yeah.
Is my big thing. I'm also seeing how the bleed over is beginning to happen. And we
Yeah.
can talk about that in the green room, where we're now seeing more people post in LinkedIn about their different things they believe in and
Yeah.
all kinds of different stuff. So
Yeah.
um,
So let's talk about the good. Let's
okay,
talk about the good. So you know, a lot of these platforms make great connections, right?
right,
It's people I haven't talked to in years and years reach out to me, and I'm like, oh, I remember that guy.
right.
I had biology class with him in high school. I haven't seen him since. How about you?
I mean, so a lot of people find not only good connections, but can find jobs, right? So
Yeah,
people
yeah. Oh,
use the
yeah.
platform, they can make connections. Recruiters can reach out to people. You can also hire people as well. If you're in the hiring manager, you can look at, hey, put out, I need a engineer.
Yeah.
Somebody may have somebody they want to send your way. So it's good from that standpoint. It's actually
Yeah.
great from that standpoint. You also see people start new businesses, right? So there's a lot of businesses that have happened through this pandemic, and they're using social media to kind of get their brand out there and succeed within that field that they're in. So that's good as well. What
Yeah.
about you from your standpoint? What are you
Yeah,
seeing?
I like the new job listings. And definitely with the pandemic, one example that pops up in my mind is Disney World. A lot of the cast members from Disney World, cast members are employees at Disney World and Disney. They lost their jobs right during the pandemic, so they had to do something, and a lot of them reached out to social media and started their own businesses, right? So it was an opportunity for them to get into catering. Maybe they weren't in food services, but they love to cook. So they did catering, deep car detailing, clean your house, create welcome packages. And then when, things started to open back up again, they kept that job going because, man, this is good business. People are coming back to Disney. They they get charcuterie boards and delivered to their hotel room. And I'm surprised to know what a charcuterie board is.
Yeah,
But it was good business. And in some ways that does make it harder for other businesses to hire them back because
right,
I'm making 10 grand a month making charcuterie boards. I'm good. I think I'll just keep making charcuterie boards.
right,
So I guess maybe that's a bad, but it does allow people to express themselves and get out there in a way that's good for them, right?
right,
Instagram,
right.
certainly a lot of interesting things on Instagram, the Tide Pod challenge and things like that. Don't do that, kids. If you're
Yes,
watching, please don't do the Tide Pod challenge. I know that was like 8 years ago.
but still, it still was a very bad challenge. It never made sense to me.
Yeah, maybe that's the bad. So that segues us into the bad. Let's talk a little bit about the bad, Joel.
So, I mean, with social media, it's a way for attackers to gather information and then
Right.
use that information to pretend like they're you, or
Right.
even to fish you, right?
Yeah.
depending on what you release, right?
Right.
So always be mindful. I went to a presentation, I heard somebody say about your stickers on the back of your car, right? They say it's a menu, is what he said, a menu
Yeah.
of information, right?
Yeah.
So you have your Star Wars with your kids and you and whatnot. So now I know that, you know, you're married and you got 3 kids,
Right.
and one of them's a girl, right?
Right.
Then I see honor roll student at this school. I see, you know, in swimming at this place. So now I can put all this together and start figuring out how I'm going to social engineer you, right? In the parking lot. Hey, my son swims with your kids.
Right.
Oh, and nobody ever wants to be rude, right? And be like,
Right.
no, I don't know you. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. And he was on a roll too at such and such. I've seen you at the PTA. I have been at the PTA. And now you have this conversation. Oh, we'll have to get up and whatnot. Yeah, let me get your number.
Right.
And they just keep pulling the string, and you're just giving them all this information. And they don't know you at all.
Right.
They literally gathered this and gleaned this from the back of your car or your social media account.
Yeah.
Right. So just be mindful of what you put out there. Right.
Yeah. It's you know, they're virtual kidnappings and hey, we have your daughter and this and that and the other thing. And you're like, you know, and you know, give us $10,000. And meanwhile, they don't have your kid. You just never reached out to them, or maybe they've stole their phone or something like that. And it's just a lot of weird stuff. Also, stuff never goes away, right? Anything going on the internet really doesn't go away. It's out there somewhere saved. Doesn't mean you're going to be able to get to it if you delete it. But it really doesn't go away on the internet by intent, but really by intent. So, you know, we're coming up on, I think you and I talked about this, 15 plus years of social media now.
15 years.
You had a good point. Laws and regulations are still catching up, right? I mean, this started probably 5-6 years ago, but they still haven't. Let's talk about cyberbullying and stuff like that, right?
Right. So they're still, because it's such a new technology, right? When you think about it, for some kids, it's their whole life, right? But for us, it just came out. Right. It's 15 years in its infancy, right? So laws and regulations are slow. It takes them time to be able to catch up with the new trend or what's going on from a criminal aspect, right? So with that being said, you can even see it with, I remember a couple of years ago, it was hard to get your money back, right? When you got fished out of money, right? Or credit cards and banks wasn't giving you money when somebody would cipher money out of your account. Well, now it's a norm, right? It's one of their platforms. They talk about, hey, we'll give your money back to you in 3 days or in 2 days, right? The loophole is that if you give your money away, right? So if I scam you out of your money and say, hey, I'm a Nigerian prince and I'm going to give you this much money, I need you to send me, you know, $3,000 in gift cards, right? Amazon gift card, and you do it, where no bank or credit card is going to give you that money back because you gave it to them.
Right. Even though you were tricked.
Right. And all they're going to say is, I'm sorry that you were tricked. Right. Hey, but here's your routing number and account number to put more money back in your account. Right.
And we talked about it on our previous cast where, you know, Home Depot has a sign up there by the customer service counter that says, do not buy Home Depot gift cards to pay your taxes. And you're like, who's doing that? You're like, well, somebody's doing it because that's why there's a sign up here. And
you know, privacy. So is me and my wife had a discussion in Target because I'm returning something, and the lady in front of me was an older lady, and she's buying all these gift cards. And I was like, yo. So immediately I'm like, I need to ask her some questions. And my wife's like, no. And I'm like, baby, why would she buy this many gift cards? Like it made no sense to me, right? And it was, I think it was Amazon cards too, and it was a lot. So I was like, yo, I really want to ask. And we had this whole discussion of like, no, Joel, do not. And I was like, I feel like the Hippocratic oath, I have to, right? From a security standpoint, I had to be like, and she said she knew what she was doing, right? Because even the sales clerk asked the question, and that kind of made me be like, okay, right?
Yeah.
But red flags.
Thank you for the sales clerk, right? I mean, the sales clerk could have been like, yep, $800 worth of Amazon gift cards.
somebody's going to be happy, right?
Right.
But you see things sometimes, and I mean, even with not the virtual kidnapping, I've had the situation where I was in Atlanta for work, and grandparents live in Atlanta, and somebody called them and told them that I got arrested and that they needed money to bail me out. And the only reason they couldn't get me because I was doing a presentation, so my phone is off. It just so happened. So my mom's trying to get me, my sister's trying to get me, my wife's trying to get me, my grandmother is trying to get me, like everybody's trying to get me, and my phone's off, right? Right. So now it's like, well, what happened with Joel? Is he locked up? What are we gonna do? And they needed this money, and it's got to be quick because we got to get him out. He gave me your number to call, and the only reason why it threw a red flag to him was the name they use. I have a nickname for that I call her, and they didn't say that. And that threw them off, right? Where they were like, So then I look at my phone, I'm like, why is my phone blowing up? Like, what is going on? I call and they're like, hey, are you okay? Yes, I just got off stage. I'm good. You're not in jail? I'm in the Marriott, right? I'm in the convention center. I think not, right? Yeah. And then they told me what it was, and I was like, no. And the thing about it is they had given a number back, like, well, call us back. We're trying, like the customer service and the way they make it believe, like, who would scam you and give them their number? They would never do that, right?
Do you ever wonder if it was somebody in the audience that said, okay, he's up on stage? Do you ever wonder that?
I never thought about that, but
next time you give a conference, you can be like,
who was there?
Let me go text my family members.
It reminds me of when you would go to conferences and they put up the fake wireless host.
Oh yeah.
Right, and then post like who all gave up their information.
Yeah.
Oh, the wall of shame.
The wall of shame. Yeah.
Hey, so let's go into the ugly.
All right, let's go to the ugly. Everything you post is potentially viewable by everyone. I have a lot of opinions. Joel has a lot of opinions. We're human beings. We all have opinions.
Right.
If you're not willing to step out your front door of your house and yell them to all your neighbors, probably don't post it on social media. Right. If you're not willing to walk in the front door of your office building and surrounded by all of your coworkers and yell your opinion so that everyone can hear it, probably don't post it on social media. If people tell you consistently that your opinions are probably pretty messed up, you probably shouldn't post them on social media.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I said, and I think you talked about this, where people are just, they say things because they think they're in anonymity. And I just butchered that word, anonymity. Anonymity. But it's not, right? I mean, you can find out who people are. Now, granted, I've created fake accounts just to do phishing campaigns. It's not that hard to create a fake account.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if somebody can trace it back to you, especially an angry ex-girlfriend or something like that, maybe don't post it to the internet, right? If you're in a high caliber position, or you're aspiring to be in a high caliber position, we talked about James Gunn, and what he posted 10-15 years ago surfaced and cost him a director role for a major film franchise for Disney. That happened. Now, granted, they've since hired him back and asked him to do another thing. But at the end of the day, he still missed out on that opportunity.
Right.
Somebody I know or worked with had a kid that posted something, and the college recruiter saw it, and they were 13 when they posted it. It's 4 years later, and the college recruiter's like, that was an off-color racist remark. The child was African American, but it was an off-color racist remark. And the college recruiter's like, look, we can't do this. And the kid deleted the post and everything else. And the college recruiter's like, other people have commented on it. It's on other people's feeds. We search for it, we find you, and we can't do it. That kid lost a scholarship, right? A full paid athletic scholarship. It was the last step on the road of getting a scholarship. And the recruiter's like, we found some stuff. And the mom was kid was crying. And the mom's like, you learned a valuable lesson. And I was like, wow, that's pretty harsh, valuable lesson. I hope he tells all of his friends and everybody that'll listen, like, don't do this. And he
Yeah,
was 13 when he posted it,
right.
right? You have no idea what consequences are. You say stuff just to get a rise out of people when you're 13. You know, you think you're cool around all your friends. Kid lost a education, free education to a top 10, top 20 college, right?
Right.
So, let's talk about politics and religion, Joel.
Yeah, well, not. Yeah. I think so. I remember coming into the workplace and there were certain things that you just knew you didn't do. Right.
Right.
Think about politics, you talk about religion, and you did not talk about money.
Right.
Right. Those three things, right? It was great advice. Hey, Joe, we do not broach these here. Right. And I was cool with that. I was like, okay. And now I look at social media, and again, I'm seeing LinkedIn, and it looks like Facebook or
Right.
TikTok or
Right.
whatever else is out there,
Right.
where people are putting all these different things out there. And sometimes I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, your finger comes up to the report button. You're like, I'll just keep rolling.
It's just interesting to me because then the fallout, right? So my wife's good at reading comments, right? So she doesn't the post, and then she reads all the comments that come after. She loves it. And I always look at the comments, and I'm just like, ooh, I don't, just be mindful that, again, if you can stand behind what you post, right, and that's the good, the bad, the ugly, and the consequences that come along with it, then feel free to put it out there, right?
Yeah.
But do know that, it's going to follow you. It never goes away.
Yeah. I know companies like, if you do an application online, and why are we still doing applications? But anyways, if you do an application online, you'll see, social media, right? What's your LinkedIn URL profile, right? And it's like, before you attach anything to that, think long and hard about what you've posted on LinkedIn. To your point, some people, and some people just post things, and you're like, okay, I don't use Facebook anymore. Okay, yeah, this is you using this as a Facebook channel, and it's not a Facebook channel. And I've seen some people go so far as, I'm going to unfollow this person or because of this, and you're like, oh, okay, that's your stance. But there's also this sense of cancel culture, right? It's a real thing, right? Hey, we don't like this political candidate, and you have one side of people who will just say, yep, I agree with you, and you have one side of people who are just like, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, he's the greatest thing ever. And then you have people like me who are just like, I'm just here to find out information on Log4j. I'm just here to
want to know if you were hiring or not, right? I just want to learn more about your CEO, right?
Right. Yeah. What's the culture like? It's this kind of culture.
Okay.
Toxic. Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things you're like,
Hey, the ugly too. Let me just put this out here. LinkedIn is not a dating platform. Right?
Who's using them for dating?
I'm just saying, like, I see a lot of people clicking on like recruiters that are people who are coming in with the cute pictures and whatnot, not reading the bio. It is not a dating. It's not. It's not right.
I'm glad I'm not a beautiful person. I'm really thankful sometimes that I'm not a good looking, Brad Pitt looking guy.
Tom Cruise right there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm glad, because I'm sure. Well, and it's got to be infinitely worse for women, right? Hey, I'm just trying to make it in the business place.
Right.
Unfortunately, I just happen to be pretty, and I put makeup on when I took the picture, or maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it's unfortunate, and the recruiters that I used to work with are just like, people feel like they can just say whatever to you when you're a woman, and it's like, I grew up the way I grew up, and I felt my cheeks redden. I was like, ooh, like, thank God I don't have a daughter, that looks like you and doing a recruiting job. So don't use LinkedIn.
I want to put that out there. I know we zig when we zag. That's one of those like pet peeves. I'm like, God almighty, it's not a dating website.
Well, and like if you send me a LinkedIn request and you're a beautiful woman, the first thing I think of is, the Russians are after me again. You know, like who's trying to breach my company?
Who's trying to get me?
Yeah, turn that web screen filter on.
With no connections, you have no common connections, right? Just all of a sudden you pop in. I'm like,
yeah, you have no work history. You have 4 or 5 connections,
right.
and you're coming at me like, and you're like, yeah, not today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today.
Maybe tomorrow.
All right,
hey,
so
let's go through takeaways.
All right, let's do our takeaways. You first, sir. Let's go on through.
I say use the platform what it's intended for.
Yeah.
Right. LinkedIn, Indeed, they're intended to network for job purposes. That's what they're set up for. Facebook, TikTok, and whatever else the new thing is intended for entertainment kind of purposes, getting your views out, keeping a connection with family, friends, in my mind, right? I could be completely off, right?
No, I think you're right. I think a lot of people that they've just kind of, you know, as the generation that grew up on social media gets older and into the workplace, maybe they're kind of, or people like me who don't have Facebook or like, I don't want to use Facebook. So I'll use LinkedIn as my, you know, because I don't go into the office anymore. This is how I'm going to get my views out there and cram them down your throat. Yeah, I agree with you. Don't use this. I like what you said before. Be careful what you post, but you had another statement on that. You want to be prepared.
So be prepared for the consequences for what you post. Right.
Be prepared to stand behind what you post.
Be prepared to live by what it is that you posted. And you may even get somebody to ask you a question. Like some recruiters, before they say they're not going to go with you, may ask you, hey, we saw that you posted this back in, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
What was going on? What were you thinking? Why did you, right?
What were you thinking? Yeah.
I think you need to be prepared to be able to talk about, hey, this just happened. In my mind, this, in my family, this. Explain your thought process versus just posting some or reposting. That's the other thing we didn't talk about. Is reposting gets people in more trouble than posting, right? Yeah. So you don't read through the complete article. It's just the headline that got you, that you agree with. And then when you read through the article, you're just like, ooh. I did not know that was in there.
I wasn't realized they were so hateful against a certain select group of people.
Right. I just thought the title, I agreed with it. I didn't know. And they're like,
credit cards are bad. And gosh darn, this political, whoa, I said credit cards were bad. I didn't believe in everything else. Yeah.
It just stated the credit cards were bad. I agree with that.
Agreed. That is bad.
All the other stuff in there. So watch your repost, right? Be mindful of what you repost because it's you, right? Once you posted it, it's your fingerprint. Right?
Read the room, as they say, right? That you don't get a lot of that on social media, right? And that's part of the challenge. There's been, obviously articles written about it. You start going into rooms or pages that are of like mind to you, and it really starts, you get pulled into and slanted more and more and more. And that's why these radical groups are showing up. And you're like, because everybody's saying the exact same thing that you are. Well, if everybody that I'm surrounding myself with says the exact same thing, I must be right. And you're like, no, you're bat ding dong crazy. Like, and you and everybody in this room is bat ding dong crazy. So you need to pull your. It really is. It's kind of challenging, right? You should always have that one friend who always says, you're naked, right? You're like, no, I thank good looking out, money.
I appreciate that. I
appreciate that.
You always need that one good friend, right? It's like,
Robert Thomas, if you're out there, thank you for being that one good friend.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
You sure you want to put that out there? Like,
right. Hey, I'm thinking I'm posting about how much I hate these people. Yeah, I do you really want to do that? You want to put that out there?
I don't think you want to do that.
Right. What if I told you I was one of those people? Yeah. Well, I'd feel bad about that. Okay. Well, don't do it.
I think you talked about the young man who at 13 posted something and he learned a valuable lesson. I think it's teach your loved ones, right?
Yeah.
Old, young, it does not matter. Teach them about social media, right? And the fact that nothing goes away and that it will follow you for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
So people doing all these videos and all these different things. Like I thank God every day that we didn't have social media the way we have it now.
Oh
I
my
was in my
God.
young
Yeah.
20s. Not to say that I was doing anything but handing out little green Bibles to people and trying to
I
bring them to the
remember when
Lord.
you and I were handing out Bibles when we were in our
Right.
teenage and
Gideon.
early
That's
20s.
what we were doing. But for those who were not, right? I thank him every day that I didn't have that platform, because you're not as smart when you're
Yeah.
young, right?
Yeah.
And I had no idea that some of the positions and things that I'd be afforded, they would look at those type of things. And I
Yeah.
know for a fact that jobs that I have received, they have did extensive backgrounds on me
Right.
to make sure that 2 + 2 adds up to 4,
Right.
right?
Right.
So in this new modern day age of social media and being able to be, I mean, I remember back in the day, they talk about 6 degrees of separation.
Mhm.
It's probably like 2 to 3, right?
Yeah, you know what? You can see that on LinkedIn. It's like 3+, and you're
Right,
like, well, how many is that? And you're like, maybe 4, maybe
right,
5. You're absolutely
right.
right. It's
It's
yeah,
small. It
yeah,
is very small. So just making sure that you understand that the world is flat now, right?
right.
It
Yeah,
really is. You can really reach out and touch almost anybody, right?
yeah,
And with that being said, they can read and reach out and touch you as well. So just be mindful of what you post and teach your kids early, right? My daughter's 9. I let her know, right?
yeah,
Hey, you just can't be. Hey, I'm very mindful of what she's doing and how she's doing it and what's on. And hey, I want to make sure that she understands that this consequence can follow you.
right,
And daddy doesn't want to pay for college, so I need you to get this scholarship, right?
right, right, right. Well, and it's not to say that you're sheltering her away from everything. You just
Right.
need to teach them, like, this is bad behavior, right? Like,
Correct.
let's take a look at the neighbor's kid. Don't be this kid, because that's going to follow that person for the
Right.
rest of their life.
Right.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Thank God we didn't have this beyond 15 years ago, when you and I were 6 years old.
Yes.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
a little getting older, getting a little bolder.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, so let's wrap this up before we spin off into something else. Joel, any final parting words?
I am, man. You know what it is. Knowing is half the battle.
Right.
GI Joe, and with this information, we hope that you will then apply it. Know just a little bit more, a little bit smarter. Move it through your day, share it, send us questions, and we just kind of go from there. So that'll be my takeaway.
Yeah. Yeah. I use LinkedIn a lot. And certainly help people get jobs. If I see a job and I repost it, or I'm like, wow, actually, hey, at so and so, I think this might be a good position for you, or somebody
Right.
you may know. I've definitely used LinkedIn to make connections and maintain business connections and things like that. It's nothing bad. Lots of things can be dangerous. Nail guns, all kinds of fireworks are dangerous, but they're
Right.
also pretty to watch and beautiful, and contribute to the wonders of society. So it's
Right.
all about how you use it. Just need to learn how to use it properly.
Correct.
So stop posting about you selling Girl Scout cookies on LinkedIn. Um, who I'm not going to point out whoever. I'm just kidding. I don't even know if anybody's selling Girl Scout cookies on LinkedIn, but just use it appropriately, right?
Correct.
We all don't want you to go into work tomorrow into the office and start screaming about how your political views are better than everybody else's. Don't do it on LinkedIn. All
Right.
right. All right. As always, if you like the content, please hit like. We're doing a different format. We're doing side by side. Hit the bell to subscribe. And let us know in the comments, what your thoughts are. Joel's got thick skin, so he can take it. Me, not so much. But let us know what your thoughts are, if they're content or things that you'd like to talk about, or
Right.
or want us to delve into that maybe you're curious about. And as always, thanks again.